people with intellectual disabilities are seen as almost a separate species. We have to make sure they have to get up and have breakfast when we say they are, so that when we say they do, so it's almost like a double standard. It's almost like training animals.
It is. I wonder about this every day, how we can possibly have such different standards of what's acceptable. I mean, this woman I met, Sherry, she's like 50 years old. And again, this is one of those things that happens all the time. Sherry, guess what? We're moving you next week to a different home. Why? Because we need your bedroom in this home for somebody else. And so we're going to move you over to another home, but it's a really nice home, and I think you're really going to like your housemates. And Sherry's this woman who's like, but I live here. I mean, where she was living at the time wasn't her favorite place ever to live, but she was like literally just trying to understand, did I hear you right? Like, did you just say to me that you're moving me next week? And we haven't even talked about it, and someone already made a decision that I'm moving. Again, it sounds like it's so out there, but it happens a lot. It happens a lot. People are being moved and placed. And being placed, I mean, we still, like, that language still gets used. We're placing you in a new home. And literally, it's, I mean, you can say this, and people laugh because it's so ridiculous. It's not funny, but it's just like, are you, like, who among us would put up with this? When she's, quote, non-compliant, which nowadays I just think of, I just start with the assumption that let's just substitute assertive for that until proven that that's not correct, a correct word to describe it. But when she's doing things like, I'm not going to bed yet, and the staff are saying, but it's time for you to get ready for bed. And she's saying, I'm not tired. And the staff are saying, I know, but Sherry, remember the plan. Like, you know the rule. Literally, there are house rules posted in the living room. And one of the rules is, in your room by 9, lights out by 10. That just happens to be the rule in her house. And the first time, when I first met her about probably 5 years ago, I thought maybe this is the only person around that's an adult in their 50s that lives in a home in the community that we're really proud to call a community living arrangement or whatever, who's being told by someone half her age that it's time to get ready for bed now. And then she talked to me about how she gets in trouble for swearing because there's a no swearing policy. If you are a well-intentioned person that works in that home, and Sherry's one of the people who lives there, and Sherry is gonna swear because that's what sometimes comes out of her mouth, and there's a rule that you're supposed to enforce that's the no swearing policy, and you think it's a dumb rule as a staff person, you think, who came up with that idea? Because it wasn't me, because I swear all the time, because one staff person does swear in there. Anyway, you're not in a position, in most organizations, you're powerless to do anything about that other than just be quiet and just follow the rules. Kind of like Sherry. So it's oftentimes, it's not so much that staff person doesn't get it, it's that they're kind of living in fear of, like, they don't want to break the rule because they don't want to lose their job. And I'm just so bummed out whenever I meet anyone where, like, the choice is, I either can do something that I think is moving in the direction of what Sherry wants me to do and needs for me to actually do right now, but if I do that, I risk getting in trouble. Or I can do what the plan or the supervisor says, and then I know that during this whole time that I'm here today with Sherry, I'm not doing what she wants, and that just doesn't feel right. And it just sucks any kind of joy or fun out of, or love, or the soul of the work. It's just like, now it's just like I'm kind of like this machine that just says no.
And it decimates the relationship.
Decimate is a very good word. It does. And then people leave. And again, it's people that are leaving not because of the person with a disability. It's someone who's leaving because, like, this just doesn't even make sense to me.
If you were a direct support person in this role, where it's your job to enforce a rule that you know doesn't make sense with your 20 some odd years experience, what would you do?
I would do, I hope I would do this because I say it all the time and I suggest to other people that it's a good idea. And so I believe that I would do this. And that is, ask the question, find anybody who will listen to you, whether it's your supervisor or someone else in the organization, and actually say, I have to have a conversation about this. And Sherry ought to be there too, because she lives here and the rule is supposed to be about her. And just name it, like put it on the table and just say, this, somehow someone decided that a woman should live in this house who swears. It's her house, and people keep reminding her it's her house. In fact, that's actually one of the reasons given for why the expectation is that she be like we want you to be, because it's your house, and in your own house you should be respectful of the people who are in your house. But like to just ask the question, and some people don't want to ask the question because they feel like it's going to sound like I disagree with something, or that I'm not competent enough to do my job, or that I'm just trying to provoke, like kind of be a troublemaker. And I say, if you're willing to do it, be the troublemaker in this kind of situation. And I understand that some people are like I depend on this income. I can't just like get fired, right? But I think if any organization that wants to be as healthy as possible in terms of how we're structured and how we talk to each other has to invite people in direct support roles into the conversations. And I say invite them in because it's oftentimes that's what it takes. It takes the invitation, because it's hard if you're in that role to say, I demand a meeting, or can we please talk, because people sometimes feel like that's not their place, because they get that message. It's not your place to initiate that.
John McKnight once said, people don't change systems. Groups of people change systems.
Mm.
And when we were just talking about what a staff person can do, the question that came to my mind was, is it feasible for a staff to start to build an alliance with other staff members so that rather than being the single person that says this rule is silly, if you have the entire staff say, not only is this rule silly, this rule escalates the situation that puts all of us in danger. Is there a credibility in doing that?
I think so. If there's a rule that doesn't seem to make sense, or doesn't seem to be right, or an expectation, or a plan, or a piece of some sort of policy, then somewhere somebody's got to say, whoa, wait a second, and maybe that's the person who's in the job, maybe that's the person together with someone they support approaching the organization and saying, could we come to a board meeting and talk about this, or could we come to the next, whatever management meeting and just have 15 minutes of your time to talk about what our experience is like? Sometimes the person working and the person with the disability they're supporting can really form this relationship where it's like, we both get this. Like, I see what your point of view is here. I understand. It's a nice day, and I'm now telling you that we can't go outside for a reason that has nothing to do with you. It has to do with other people that live here. And I understand that, and that's just wrong. It's like, no, you shouldn't have to do that. And I just always keep coming back to, like, be the squeaky wheel that says, okay, I know people maybe don't want to hear this, but so this person's life is kind of miserable, and I'm actually contributing to it. And I don't like that because I care too much about who this person is. So can you help us Can we figure out, we've got to be more creative than that. People are more creative than just, here's your shift and we've got a 1-to-4 staff ratio with people living here and we've got the van only every other day and all. It's like we're expecting people just to live lives that we wouldn't ever put up with.